Our next speaker is an award-winning and best-selling author of 6 books, including The Go-To Expert and How to Make Partner and Still Have a Life. In May 2023, much to her 2 teenagers' disgust, she was elected to Central Bedfordshire Council as an independent councillor. Over the next 30 minutes, she will share the painful lessons that she's learned in the murky world of local politics and how these will help you stand out as a speaker. Please welcome Heather Townsend.
This special announcement on Focus on Flitwick on Wednesday evening, 5 p.m, 15th of March. Heather, welcome to the fight. We need you to get out there and vote for us tomorrow.
That was the point that I got 46% of the vote. Councillor Heather Townsend has entered the room. Why? Why? Is that what you're thinking? Why? Why go from speaker to politician? There isn't a week that goes by that I don't think, why was I so stupid? You know, Susan's been talking about hand gestures. I need to learn the one that goes like that, particularly when there are politicians in the room. But before I go on to how this all happened, let me go back to why this speech. This is going to help you up your marketing. It's going to help you up your impact, and then it's going to help you up your bookings. Who doesn't want a bit of that? Good, you're awake this morning. So why? Why go from speaker to politician? So 2018, a property developer decided to put 190 houses on an area behind Salisbury Road, Trafalgar Drive. It was the worst kind of development. It broke nearly every relevant, keyword there, relevant planning permission that Central Bedfordshire had. Now, if you want a little bit of a bore at lunchtime, I'll tell you the details. But this is the one you need to know. There were only 2 entrances and exited. That meant there was going to be over 400 vehicle movements every day on quiet residential roads that were not built for that. Those of you eagle-eyed may have noticed it was behind my house. So I joined the fight. And yes, we got it turned down. Do you remember this chap? Do you remember that chap? Heather, welcome to the fight. Well, I met him along the way. And with the groundswell of opinion from getting that planning permission chucked out, he said, I'm going to go from Flitwick Town Mayor, you know, serious stuff, chain. And he said, I'm going to go for Central Bedfordshire. And with all of that, he set up a Facebook group, Focus on Flitwick. By the way, this gets really cheesy as I go along. And I agreed to help moderate him. We agreed that it was about really listening to residents and what they wanted and needed. As a result, the group grew quickly, and Gareth got elected to Central Bedfordshire. And in February 2023, he turned around to me and he said, Heather? I said, yes. He said, would you stand? I said, what for? He said, Central Bedfordshire. I said, no. Yeah, I did. He said, there's never been a better time. I said, all right then. Far too easily influenced. He then said, what do you stand for? What do I stand for? What do I stand for? Good question. What do you stand for as a speaker? If you had to put out a leaflet, what do you stand for? If this leaflet went to your speaker bookers, your best clients, what would go on it? What do you stand for? Because he said, if you're going to get elected, you've got to stand for something. So my first key point to you is, what do you stand for? Now, of course, you've got to put food on the table, pay your bills, all of that sort of stuff. But what do you stand for? And I'm going to come on to why that matters. And you're probably, well, it might be, anybody thinking, so what was on that leaflet? So I stood for a field. Yep, I'm naive. Can you actually in politics stand for a field? But this isn't any old field. This is Steppingley Road Field. This is a field for the people of Flitwick that means something. Most people walk their dogs there most days. In COVID-19, people credit this field as saving their mental health. But this field has an axe over its head. See, up and down the country, local councils have to designate something called a local plan. And in the local plan, they decide where they're happy to accept houses. It's almost like a, come on in, we'll have houses here, please. This is its other name, HAS 17. Yeah. They want to build on that beautiful land. September 2022, you know what's coming, don't you? Developer, boo, came along. Over 200 houses on that beautiful piece of land. Now, because only 4 years earlier I'd said no, I thought, I've got to be congruent, I stand for this. So I joined the fight. 1,384 objections later, the planners withdrew it. But I'm not naive. This is coming back. And at that point in time, I faced a stark choice. Would I put my mouth, my time, my energy, and ultimately my sanity in order to protect that field? Yeah. That's why I did it. Did I trust that the two previous ward councillors would have the energy and the backbone to do it? Did I trust that the previous administration would really listen to what Flitwick wanted? I took that choice. Now, you might be saying, that's lovely, Heather, but what's this got to do with speaking? What has it got to do when you're really acting on purpose and what you stand for? This is kind of embarrassing. See, many of you may know that I'm quite good at this thing called business, that I've spent many years growing a business. So I've made it to the council, been a bit busy. October 2023. Half of my team decided to resign on the same day. Yeah, bang, bang, bang! That's hard. Still had a business to run. Still had work to be done. So I had to fight. Fight like I've never fought before to rebuild, to reset. So by the time I got to the 1st of December, I was exhausted. I was at my lowest ebb. And I just wanted to creep into Christmas. But a developer had different ideas. You know that original piece of land, Salisbury Road, Trafalgar Drive, yep. The exact same planning permission came back again, 1st of December. Now, this is what I stood for. So, of course, I found the energy. Of course, I coordinated it. Of course, I got 500 leaflets delivered. I put every last ounce into that, and it got turned down. And this is the link that's important for you. When you're truly speaking on purpose, when what you stand for matters, you'll find that energy. You'll find that energy to move forward. When stuff comes up in front of you, you'll find it. That is why it's so important. With your permission, I'd like to move on to my second main point. Do you remember this chap? The one that I have to learn the words no to? That chap, yeah. Well, he said to me, Heather, he said, right, we've got to go canvassing, door knocking. Not done that in a while. Ooh. And he said, Heather, the weather will be sunny. He then said, it'll be warm. I'm still not getting it. He then said, oh, but Heather, you'll get loads of steps. Right, where do I sign up? Steps, absolutely. So here's a snippet of our first canvassing.
Good morning, Flitwick, on this wonderful, sunny, actually not, it's dreadfully rainy day.
Yeah. We were out in that for 8 hours. And I'd like to say that it got better, but no. Somebody up there had something for us, because every time we went out, it would be windy, it would be rainy, it would be snowy, and on those special days, it would be all 4 of them. But it showed commitment, didn't it? It showed a lot of commitment. And we talked about this thing that we were not fair weather politicians, that we were going to work hard every single day for our residents. Sent out a really strong message. So that is what we need to do as speakers. We need to be committed. And when I looked at that commitment, I thought of it in 3 different ways. The first thing is to your message. I've now got on to Central Bedfordshire, and I've got my first major political triumph. Are you ready for this? This is the moment. I've lined up TV, I've lined up media, and I'm going to give you a snippet.
So what do I have here? But I have a brand new dog poop.
I give to you, ladies and gentlemen, the Roman Way Children's Playground dog pooping. Look, when your first major political triumph involves dog poo, you know that it's only going to get better, isn't it? But it was a really good example of our... I've missed something there, but I'm just going to carry on. It's a really good example of being committed to your message. We always said we would do the little things that made the big difference in our residents' lives. I've got a bit of a truth bomb here. I have been in this world of speaking training for 25 years. As Susan said, I started young as well. 25 years. You are my tribe. But I noticed that a lot of us change our message, a little bit like a new pair of shoes. If you are going to really get the impact, you've got to commit to your message. Are you going to be Dave with his massive goals and going rhino? Has that ever changed? Where are you, Dave?
Thanks for putting me after the pooping.
Would you still be talking about inclusive leadership and culture, like Joanne does? Hey. And for a lady that's on a bike at the moment, talking about contracts. Most of us know these people. So what is your message, and how are you going to stay consistent to it? Back to this chap again. You know the one that keeps getting me into trouble? Yeah, that one. But he said, look, Heather, I built this amazing platform. We own the narrative in Flitwick. If you say you'll stand with me and I endorse you, you will get in. Nah, that doesn't happen, does it? Oh, it does. And do you remember that little snippet of a video where it goes, Heather, welcome to the fight? Do you know how many times that video was seen in a 48-hour period? 2,400 times. Wow. But why can't I do that in my business? And we actually looked at our Facebook group, the main platform we had, and we did some analysis on it. So we looked at it. And we did the analysis from the 1st of January to the 22nd of January. So 23 days, right? Just 23 days. So these were the number of posts that Gareth or I put up. For those of you who've hard of sight, that's 48. My mother did always say I talked a lot. These were the number of impressions on our posts, 155,000. I have not missed off a decimal place. That's some impact. For those that you can't do the maths, that was 3,241 average per post. But this is the bit that I was really proud about. Unique viewers. Over 150,000 people had seen our stuff in a 23-day period. Who else is thinking, wow? I'm still thinking, why can't I do that in my business? But you might go, look, Flitwick must be a really big place. No. We've got under 14,000 people in there. So what's the secret? What are we doing? How are we getting out there? The first thing is we've committed to our message. We haven't gone into different groups. We haven't said different things. It's always been about working hard every day for our residents. In a quiet moment, I'll probably be answering some queries online. So the first thing is about the consistency. The second thing is we share useful stuff. Not useful for me. You really do need to turn off airplane mode. It's not great. But, you need to share useful stuff. You might go, you're a politician, Heather. You'll share political stuff. No, I hate that. And it also dives like a bomb. Do you want to have a look at what goes down really well in the wonderful world of Flitwick? Local history. Right at the end of World War II, sadly an aircraft came down in Flitwick. 2 airmen lost their life. Every year we celebrate that. Good news stories. And even better, stolen motorhome. We announced it was stolen the day before. I get some of that glory. Isn't it great? Useful information like road closures, train engineering works. And also impactful planning applications. By the way, that takeaway is not happening. So when it comes to your message, it is about being consistent, it's about sharing useful stuff, and it's about turning up. But it's also about nurturing your platform. So what platform are you going to use? And how are you going to nurture it? Are you going to be like my long friend Kate? Where's your book? Everything has got this book over. Would you use that as your platform? Would you use TikTok, YouTube? I'd quite like 44,000 followers, by the way. Would you use LinkedIn like Richard, who's here in the room, which I didn't know? Absolutely crushing it on LinkedIn. 54,000 followers. Pretty nice. So my challenge to you is, what will be your platform, and how will you commit to it? Now, rummage in my political bag. By the way, example of a platform, when you're walking around for 8 weeks, you get seen. Who here is wondering why I have got a kitchen spatula here? And if you think it's a kitchen spatula, you are wrong. This, wait for it, is a leaflet delivery device. Because these things are flimsy, And if you try and put this through a letterbox, you soon discover how quickly you can scrape your fingers. Bit of a demonstration coming, ladies and gentlemen. So you take the leaflet, you wrap it round, you take the letterbox, and you gently shove it through. It is that simple. By the way, there is a special place in hell for those people that never get a door like this, that have a letterbox down here. Gareth always gave me those ones when we're out together. So it is about committing to your craft. Now, as a speaker, I get the pleasure, about twice a month, of sitting in a council chamber, listening and identifying who can really speak. Looking for who holds the room. How do they get there? What are they doing? Who influences whom? Now, you can have that experience too. Mainly to pick out, does anybody speak well here? But you can have that experience too. There are millions of hours of local democracy that has been recorded just to help you get to sleep. But, look, you can come to these conferences, they're great. I want to be invited back. You can get speaker coaching, they're great. Go to masterminds. But there is so many opportunities to learn just around you. For example, click onto a YouTube video. How do they get you to click? How do they hold your attention? What are they actually doing? Maybe you kind of go, Let's have a night out, darling. Let's go to the theatre. How do the actors really keep you engaged? The examples are out there all the time. So when it comes to commitment, stay on message, stay consistent, build your platform, nurture it, and finally tend to your craft. For the last part, I'm going to take you to the dark side of politics. You see, as the most prominent moderator of Focus on Flitwick, the people that own the narrative, the biggest platform, the most trusted, I came in for some online bashing. And I'm pretty sure you're going to say to me, Heather, this is what politics is like today. You put yourself up there. You know, you're a publicly elected official. What did you think? But this actually happened 5 years before I stood. 2 previous ward councillors and their mate decided they could cyberbully me for over 5 years. Do you want to have a little look at some of the stuff that they would put out publicly? This is not in private. You can go and find this on Facebook. Would you like to have a look at some of the stuff? Mackie's mouthpiece. She's so far up Mackie's rear. She's totally clueless. Let's see what Mun Man and his puppet can do. That's the polite stuff. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, isn't it? And that was put out publicly. And it got worse, and it got worse, and it got worse as the election grew up. So what would you do? You getting that sort of bile, online hatred? Would you fight? Would you put your words up there, get your friends out there, get, keyboard warriors? Would you do that? No. We went quiet. We owned the narrative. We got to most places in Flitwick that others couldn't. Why waste our energy on those lowlife? Why give them space on our platform that we've spent 6 years in building? No. Now, look around the room. I think Chantal has already said, there are other people here that do what you do. And we all have those dark moments. You know the ones, well, for me, going up to election, I would wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning. Mind whirring. And I'd be thinking, who's reading this stuff? Would they believe it? And then the bit that really got to me, would my clients read it? It's one thing to be hit locally, it's another thing for my business to be damaged. Now, as speakers, we've all got competition here in the room. All of us. And we're only human. And in our dark moments, I'm sure we're thinking, why did they get up that opportunity? Yeah, I know Susan was brilliant, but I'm just as good as her. We coordinated, darling. We think those, don't we? In fact, you may have even thought, why am I not here on this stage? I'm good enough. What did she do? All she did was get elected. That's absolutely. And in these moments, I want to remind you, think about your stuff, your quotes, your stories, your research, your way of doing things, how you dress. Do it your way. Own your narrative. Keep to your lane. So how do I summarize from speaker to politician? First off, what do you stand for? What is your equivalent of Steppingley Road Field? I.e. the thing that's going to keep you going when you are absolutely exhausted and have got barrier after barrier after barrier placed in front of. What are you going to do? Secondly, how are you going to commit? Commit to your message, stay consistent, choose your platform, grow it, tend to your craft. And then finally, stay in your own lane. There's plenty of work here for everyone. Speak your truth, own the agenda. Thank you.